So we are on day 10 of your exam review. This is the last day. Remember, this one's extra credit. The stuff is on the exam, so it makes sense to just do it. But I'm counting this extra credit in case anybody missed today and needs that to make it up. So on the exam, you are going to have the formulas given to you, and they'll be given to you so you'll know which formula to use on which question. You just have to know where stuff goes, how to plug it in, etc. So take a look at number 2. It says Mary has $2,600 in a savings account with 6% simple interest. She wants to buy a used car for $3,500. How many years will she need? How much will she have in savings after 5 years? So look at your equation here at the top. A equals, what is her P? How much does she already have? Remember, P is her principal. $2,600. Then E to the R. What is my R if it's 6% interest? 0.06. Good. So 0.06 times, and then what's her T? 4 years. Okay, and then from there you would type that into the calculator, and then you'll have your answer. Okay, remember that E is second ln or second divide by. Either one will pull that up. So I'm going to have 2,600 e to the power of 0.06 multiplied by 4 years. Okay, just like that. Okay, so how much is she going to have? $3,305.25. Okay. Part B says she wants to buy a used car for $3,500. How many years does she need to wait to buy the car? Okay, well, if this is how much she wants to have, that's going to be what in my equation? That's going to be my A. Very good. So I'm going to do 3,500 equals 2,600 E to the 0.06 T. And then remember, you have to switch the time back to a variable because now we don't know how long she's going to have to wait, and that's what we're trying to solve for. Okay, step 1, what do you do to solve? Okay, divide by 2,600, good. Okay, divide that out in your calculator. What decimal do you get there?
1.3.
Okay, 1.35 equals. Then I have e to the 0.06 t. What is my next step to cross out the next letter? ln is going to get rid of the e. ln and e cross out with each other. So these guys are gone. And I have whatever this decimal is in the calculator equals 0.06 t. So ln of 1.35 is 0.30. And then what's my next step after that? Good. Okay, so if I have 0.30 equals 0.06 t, then I'm going to divide by 0.06 on both sides. And that'll tell me how much it equals. So I got 5. Make sense? Alright, go down to the next one, please. Okay, 3 and 4, you're using the equation highlighted on my paper. We're going to do number 4. It says in 1950, the population of a city was 120,000. That's your P. Since then, the population has increased 8%. That's your R. Every 5 years, that's your N. What will the population be in 2015? Okay, first, let's just write the equation. So I'm going to start with A equals 120,000. Do I do a 1 plus or a 1 minus? 1 plus, because it says it's going to increase. So 1 plus, then what's my interest rate, or increase rate? 0.08, up to the power of, and then I'm going to put T over N. Now what's my N in this case? 5. Because it's not going up every year, it's going up every 5 years. So we have to take the time divide by 5 to see how many times it would have gone up. Okay, then from there, I need to figure out if I'm starting in 1950 and I need to wait until 2015, how many years have gone by? 65 years. Okay, so remember that you're just going to subtract the times to see how many years passed. And that's what I'm going to plug in right here for my t. So in my calculator, I'm going to put 120,000, 1 plus 0.08, up to the power of, and then it'll be 65 years every 5 years, just like that. Okay, so there'll be 326,354.84. Now, if we're talking about people, then it doesn't really make sense to have 0.8 of a person, so I'm going to round that up to a 5. Okay, but your exam's multiple choice. You'll know which one to pick. It won't be anything tricky there. Make sense? I'm maybe going to put an arrow right there. All right, now part B, they're giving you a population. You have to go back and solve. So it says, when will the population be 150,000 people? Well, then I'm going to make that my A. Okay, now it is important that you remember to change your T back to a letter. We're taking the 65 years out and we're trying to figure out how many years have to go by. Okay, your steps to solving are very similar to the ones that we just did. What do I do first? Divide by 120, good. 150,000 divided by 120,000. What's my decimal? 1.25, good. And then on the other side, I don't know if you remember this step, but whatever this is, you have to turn it into a regular number so that you can use it as the base of your log. So if it's 1 plus 0.08, now we're just going to call that 1.08. Versus if it was a minus, then you'd minus them to find that decimal. Okay, then from there, to get rid of the 1.08, you log it to cancel it out. Because it's a base, it's not multiplied. So I'm going to do log 1.08, log 1.08. And then remember in the calculator to pull this up, it's alpha window. And then option number 5, which says log base, for you to type that in. So alpha window 5, 1.08 is my base, 1.25 is my regular number that goes in the middle, just like that. Okay, so I got 2.899. I'm going to bump that up to 2.90. Okay, 2.90. So I have 2.90 equals log 0.108 and 1.08 are gone. And then my t is still over 5. How do we get rid of the over 5? Multiply by 5 here. Multiply by 5 here. And then your 5's crossed out and you have your answer. So remember that if there's over a number at the end, you just times by it to get rid of it. 2.90 times 5 gives me how many years?
14.5 years.
Good, 14.5 years. Now, that's 14.5 years since 1950. So think about it. If I have to wait 14 years after 1950, what year would that be? 1964, good. Now technically it's 1964 and a half, but you don't have to worry about the extra half of a year. You just leave. Okay? All right, turn over to the back side, please. All right, let's do number 5. Okay, the equation on here is not on here. But it will be on your exam. It's A equals PB up to the T over N. Now remember, the difference with a base and a rate is that your base is if it's doubling, quadrupling, if it's halving or thirding. So if it's not a percent, you would use this formula, but it'll be marked on your exam. Okay, so look at the setup. It says you're doing an experiment with 5,000 grams of a radioactive substance. That's your P. The half-life of the substance is 120 days. This means that the amount of the substance is cut in half, that's my base, every 120 days. So let's start off just by writing our equation. So I have A equals, how much is there at the beginning to be my principal? 5,000. Then what's happening to my amount? It's being cut in half. How often is it being cut in half? T over what? 120. So I have 5,000. It's being cut in half every 120 days. Then in part A it says write the equation. K check. We already did that. Part B it says at what time will there only be 50 grams left? So I'm going to take my 50. I'm going to set it equal to my 5,000. Half T over 120. But remember, your steps for solving are pretty much exactly the same every time. You're going to divide the number out of the front. So I'm going to divide by 5,000 to cancel that out. 50 divided by 5,000, what decimal do we get there?
0.01.
Okay, 0.01 equals. Then I have a half to the T over 120. Then half is a base. The only way to get rid of a base is to use a log of the same base. So I'm going to have to do a log half on both sides. And remember that you can log half it or log 0.5 it. That's the exact same thing. It doesn't matter. So alpha window 5, half as my little number, 0.01 as my big number, just like that. And I get 6.64. Now, 6.64 equals what? These guys cross out. What's left over there? T over 120. And then how do I get rid of the 120 as my last step? Multiply. So I'll take my 6.64 times it by 120. That'll tell me how many days I would have to wait to be able to have that amount. What'd you get? 796, right? 0.8. Okay. Okay, what I want you to do before we keep going into the TVM solvers is I want you to set up the equation for number 6, and I want you to set up the equation for number 3. Just to make sure that they're both right before you do it on your own. Okay, so 3, you're using this model. And then 6, you're using the model with the B in it. So just set up the equations real quick. You don't have to solve them right now. Yeah, 3 off the front, 6 off the back. Just set up the equations. Because if they're not set up right, then all your other answers will come out wrong. Okay, so 3, what should I start with? A equals what? Okay, 180. 1 plus or 1 minus? 1 plus or 1 minus?
1 minus.
Minus. Because it's a decrease. And then if it's 10%, I put 0.10. Now, look at the way that it goes down. It goes down each month. What's my N? Each 1 month. What's my N? 1. So if it's every month, then you don't really have to put the N. You can, if you want to, put it over 1. That's fine. But if it says each month, then you don't really have to worry about the N because it's happening every 1 month. That's kind of your standard. Okay? Flip over to the other side. Let's make sure your other one's right. Okay, I'll give you a second to set it up before we move on. Says my population of bunnies starting at 4 bunnies triples every 2 weeks. A equals what? 4 Then what's my ratio? What's happening to it? It's tripling, so my base is a 3. And then how often is it happening? Every what? T over 2. Because it's not happening every week, it's happening every 2 weeks. Okay? Alright, last little section here. Okay, do you remember how to open your finance app? Remember, it's app, enter. Okay? So I'll do 7 with you. It says Paul opens an account with $300. Where does that go? PV? Positive or negative if he's putting his money in the bank? Negative. Okay, then it says he's going to put 50 in every month. Where does that go? PMT. And it says now he has 2,000. That goes here. Then how many years ago is that? 12 times 7. Y'all remember this? Okay? Morning cannot. Then from there, to solve, you're going to push alpha, enter. Okay? It'd be alpha, enter. So go ahead and solve that. Remember, it's apps, enter to open it up, and then you do have to put those negatives in.
6 and 4. I remember I didn't give you 2B, but I gave it you 4, 5, and 6.
When did you get them to me?
It's like I wasn't here yesterday and day before yesterday, but I was here like the other time.
Yeah, I don't have any here, so double check in your thing and see if you have them. Because maybe you have them done and you just didn't bring them. And are you leaving early again today?
No.
No? Okay.
I will be. Actually, Mariam is in my second period and Kiddes is in my first period. So they was like we were sitting like free, so they were like just go and get your bracket so we
and
can
then
study together.
if you go to the website, all the videos are up for each
Yeah,
one.
but like I'm like if we will combine study, so that will be like more
Okay,
easy. For
sure,
me.
sure. Okay, what'd y'all get? What's his interest rate?
Negative 20.
Oh, what? Okay, well, I'll just put 25. Maybe the numbers are right on that. That doesn't really make sense. Let's change it to 20,000 and see if it comes out right, because you can't have a negative interest rate. So 12 times 7, negative 300, negative 50, 20,000,
Times 30.
and then 12. There we go. Okay, it came out positive. So whenever it comes out negative, that basically means that like he would have had more money than just 2,000. So cross it out, put 34%. Okay? Alright, go down to the next one. It says Janet took out a 4-year college loan for $5,000 with 4% interest. How much will her monthly payments be? Okay, question. If it is a loan, what's happening with the money? Is she giving the money or they're giving her the money?
They're giving her.
They're giving it to her, so her BV should be positive. She's receiving the loan, so it's a positive. Then from there, she has 4% interest. That goes here. Then 12 times 4 is going to go up here as well. And then if I want to know how much her payments are going to be, that means I have to know her future value. What should her future value be?
0.
0, because it's a loan. Remember, in the future, you want to owe 0 on a loan. So you make it a 0. Also, make sure your PY and CY are both 12. Okay, that should always be true. A couple people on the test on this had it set up wrong and all their answers came out wrong. Okay, what is her monthly payment?
190 cents.
Good. Oh yeah, I guess I put 89 cents, but it does round to 90. Got it? Okay, last one like that. Jordan is going to buy a farm for $92,000. He'll make a down payment of $20,000. He will need to borrow the rest from the bank over 8 years at 4% interest. How much will he need to borrow? What do I do with the price of the farm and how much he's going to pay up front? Subtract. What's 92? Take away 20. 72,000. Now, I'm going to show my work on this just in case you do end up studying it ever, anyone. Okay, but you have to minus those because what you're paying off, you don't have to borrow that. Okay, and then that amount is going to go right here. Notice that because it's a loan, I choose a positive. Okay? Monthly payment is my question mark. It's a loan, so what's my FV? 0. And then I have 8 years to pay it off, so that's 12 times 8. And I'm at 4% interest, that's going to go there. Okay, so go through, work that out. And then remember, it's alpha enter to solve. Alpha enter to solve. Okay, what are we getting for his payments?
$177.63.
Okay. You said 87?
877.
Perfect. Okay, how do you find the payback?
PV minus.
Can't minus yet. You have to multiply by
Oh, that.
yes, how many payments they made. So by years and then by months. So you'll take 877.63 times 12 times 8 years. That's going to give you your payback. And then remember, the finance charge is you minus off what they actually borrowed. Okay? So 877.63 times 12 times 8. How much is he going to pay back? 84,252.48. But then remember, he only borrowed how much? 72. So I minus those two numbers. That tells me how much he actually overpaid. That's what his finance charge is. So I'm going to put 84,252.48 minus the 72,000 he actually borrowed. And that'll tell me what his finance charge is. And he overpaid how much?
12,252.
Yep. And 48 cents. Okay, makes sense? Alright, I've given you 8,000 progress reports. You know your grade. Everything that you turn in has to be turned in tomorrow, the day of your exam, because I turn in your official grades tomorrow afternoon. You're going to take your exam. It's multiple choice. It's 33 questions. There is nothing on it that is not on one of these reviews. So you have 11 days of review. This one is extra credit. If you have anything that is missing, I have to have it tomorrow at the beginning of your exam because I'll be closing out your grades while you're taking it. Okay, do y'all have any questions? Thank you. Okay, if you have any other reviews that you think might not be checked off, open your focus or look at the progress report that I gave you yesterday. Make sure anything that you need typed in, that I have seen it and typed it in right now. Okay? And then this one's extra credit. So if you do this one and you have a 0, this one will cover that one up as far as your grade is concerned. But if you need the extra credit, just do all of them, do this one, and it'll give you like 10 extra points in your test grade category. Okay? All right, good job.